What if the voice telling you to quit went silent forever? What if the struggle you're facing right now isn't a warning to stop, but a signal that you're inches from a breakthrough? You weren't given this pain to destroy you. You were given it to forge you. This moment you're in the pressure, the fatigue. The doubt is not your exit. It's your proving ground. No man has ever risen without first being broken. No empire has ever stood without storms. No mind has ever been tempered into steel without walking through fire. You say it's hard? Good. That means it's working. This message is not here to comfort you. I'm not here to hand you permission to stop. I'm here to wake up the force buried underneath the weakness, the version of you that fights, that executes, that refuses to crawl back into comfort. Let the quitters quit. Let the fearful retreat. But you dare. You've come too far. You've survived too much. And everything you've bled for is waiting just beyond this pain. So you don't stop here. You don't break here. You build here. Stand up inside your own mind and let your silence speak louder than the world's noise. This is your hour. Begin. When the road gets hard, most men search for an exit. They whisper lies to themselves. Maybe this wasn't meant for me. Maybe the timing is wrong. Maybe I've done enough. But I'm speaking to the part of you that remembers who you were before the world taught you how to retreat. Pain is not your enemy. Pressure is not a stop sign. Resistance is not a barrier. It's a gatekeeper, a test, a sacred threshold that only a few, the builders, the doers, the decisive ever cross. And the man who crosses it is never the same as the one who walked in. He comes out stronger, sharper, real. That is the purpose of hardship, to strip you down until all that remains is truth, until every excuse burns away, until only the part of you that cannot be broken survives. Andrew Carnegie once told me something I never forgot. He said, adversity is the refining fire of destiny. It burns away the weak and leaves only the man ready to lead. Carnegie did not rise from privilege. He was a poor Scottish immigrant working in a telegraph office for almost nothing. Yet every hour he worked, he watched, he listened, he prepared. When opportunity finally came, he did not flinch because the fire he had walked through, the long days, the uncertainty, the low pay, had already forged his mind. And here you are in your own fire. When I ask you, what will this fire leave behind? Will it leave a man who folds under pressure, or a man so focused, so steady, so commanding that the world has no choice but to move around him? Charles M. Schwab knew pressure. As Carnegie's right hand, he faced the storms of industry, the roar of competition, the resistance of men older, richer, more experienced than he. But Schwab's difference wasn't genius, it was resilience. He did not fold. He moved swiftly, decisively. He led from the front while others shrank into the shadows. I once asked him how he faced fear. He said, Mr. Hill, fear is a fog. A man must learn to walk forward even when he cannot see. You may not see your future clearly right now. You may be lost in the fog of fatigue, surrounded by doubt. But hear me, you still walk. You still move. You still build. The man who waits for clarity will never lead. The man who says, I'll push when it's easier, will never arrive. Look at Henry Ford. A man told his vision was foolish, that the car was a novelty, that it could never replace the horse. Even his own engineer said his 8-cylinder engine couldn't be done. And what did he say? Build it anyway. Not once, not twice, but over and over until they did. Ford understood what most men never will. When everything seems to resist you, it isn't the world testing you. It's your mind asking, do you really want this? And you answer not with words, but with relentless execution, unbreakable persistence, unshakable identity. Success does not come with ease. The men who built nations, industries, movements, they did it tired. They did it misunderstood, surrounded by doubt, even from themselves, but they moved anyway, because they had decided, and they never once open the door to retreat. If you are tired, good. It means you've been in the arena. If you are doubting, good. It means you are pushing the boundaries of what you thought possible. If you are under pressure, good. It means you are doing something that matters. But I will not let you quit. Quitting now is not just a betrayal of your goals, it is a betrayal of your identity. I know the man you are becoming, the one who keeps showing up, the one who listens not to fear, but to vision, the one who would rather suffer for purpose than coast in mediocrity. Let the crowd rest. Let them doubt. Let them walk away when it gets heavy. But you do not get to quit. This fire you are in is forging you. And when you rise from it, the world will know you were not lucky, you were not gifted, you were forged. The pain you feel today is not punishment. It is a process, a sacred rite, a furnace that burns away soft edges, hesitation, illusions, and leaves only iron. Most men run from fire. They seek comfort. They retreat to what is familiar. But you will not. You were built to withstand. You were built to build. And nothing worthy has ever been built without cost. There will be days when nothing goes your way, when voices question everything you do, when every step feels like dragging a stone uphill, and temptation will whisper, maybe I should pause, maybe I should slow down, maybe I should quit. Those whispers are not your voice. They are drift, old identity trying to drag you back to safety, to comfort, to mediocrity. You are done living like that. Speak louder than those whispers. Say, no, I am not going anywhere. I may be tired, I may be stretched, but I am not broken. I will not fold. I will not leave this chapter unfinished. This is the moment your identity changes, not with celebration, but with choice. The choice to continue, the choice to carry the weight even when your legs shake, the choice to not back down. Abraham Lincoln led a nation through war. He was mocked, slandered, betrayed. His cabinet questioned him. The people doubted him. The war dragged on longer than anyone expected. And still he stood quiet, focused, unbending, anchored to purpose, not moved by noise, not swayed by fatigue. That is what you must be, anchored to your mission, to your future, to the man you said you would become. There will be no applause, no audience, no instant reward, just silence, pain, and progress. But every day you push through, you are building a life no storm can shake. This is where you earn the crown, not when it's easy, not when it feels good, but now, when it's hard, heavy, when every part of you wants to stop and you don't. The man who continues when he could quit becomes undeniable. Most people give up just before their moment of change. One conversation away, one client away, one sunrise of discipline away, and they let it go because the going got hard. You are not most people. You are not average. You do not operate on feelings. You do not follow ease. You follow purpose. You follow vision. You follow a code. And that code carved into your spirit says, relentless, resilient, ruthless, no quitting. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times. Materials exploded. People called him a fool. Even his team questioned the mission, but he never doubted the result. He had already decided the end. Every failure was proof of progress. That is how you must view this moment. Not defeat, not a wall, a passage. You are walking through it, head up, eyes forward, heart full of faith, decision. You do not stop when it's hard. You become harder. You do not retreat from resistance. You rise through it. You do not ask, will I make it? You say, watch me build this until there is no doubt left. If no one claps, you keep going. If no one sees, you keep going. If no one believes, you believe. You execute. You finish. The fire you are in is temporary. The strength it leaves in you lasts forever. Keep going. Don't you dare quit. There will come a day when all this pressure, this pain, this fatigue, this loneliness will make sense. When the weight you carried becomes the strength you wear. When the silence you endured becomes stillness in your soul. When the work you did in the dark becomes the light others follow. But that day comes only to the man who refuses to lay down. Not to the clever, not to the entitled, to the one who kept going when there was no visible reward, who built when no one believed, who said, as long as it takes. Andrew Carnegie arrived in America with nothing but hunger for knowledge, for opportunity, for greatness. A messenger boy in a telegraph office, overlooked, underpaid, doubted. But he continued. Each job he gave more than expected. Each obstacle he used as training. Through relentless forward motion, through sacrifice without applause, he built an empire and became the wealthiest man of his time. Not his fortune, but his example matters most. Greatness is not born, it is built in silence, in sweat, in decisions, in perseverance when others crumble. That same fire exists in you. That same blood runs through you. You are not here to survive. You are here to build, to create, to lead. Keep walking, especially when your legs shake, because this is where most men quit. Hard is not failure. Hard is forge. Hard means the old self is left behind. Hard means the peak is closer than it seems. Charles M. Schwab rose from humble clerk to president of U.S. Steel under Carnegie. Not the most brilliant, but relentless. He never stopped producing. When others froze in doubt or waited for perfect plans, Schwab moved, acted, led, built. That is what makes a man irreplaceable. Immortal in history, not clever, not smooth, but unbroken under burden. And you too will become that man if you refuse to let pressure become an excuse. This storm will pass. This chapter will close. This weight will lift. But when this storm passes, the real question will be, who did you become because of it? Did you fold? Did you wait? Did you whimper and wish for easier days? Or did you rise? Did you decide this would be the moment that made you unshakable? Say it with me now and mean it. I do not shrink under pressure. I am shaped by it. I do not run from pain. I rise through it. When the going gets hard, I go harder. These are not just words. They are weapons. Use them in the morning when the weight returns. Use them at night when doubt creeps in. Use them when the old voice whispers, "This is too much." That voice is not your future. It is your past begging you to return, but you have already left that man behind. Ahead lies a life so solid, so grounded, so unbreakable, that even fear itself will hesitate to knock. Keep walking. Don't slow down. Don't second guess. Don't you dare quit. Not now. Not ever. There comes a point for every builder when the world goes quiet. Applause stops. Results disappear. Momentum slows to a crawl. And in that silence, one question echoes louder than anything else. Is this still worth it? This is the test. The dark middle. The days when struggle multiplies and rewards vanish. It is here that men are forged or forgotten. The pain you feel is not a sign to quit. It is a sign you are finally becoming not the man who begins things, but the man who finishes them. Not the man who plans, but the man who executes. Consider Thomas Edison. Deep into the work of creating the electric light, he faced over 5,000 failures. Money ran out, media mocked him, his workers doubted the mission, and yet he refused to stop. When asked if he'd ever considered quitting, he said, "Young man, I have not failed. I've just found 5,000 ways that won't work." He had already decided the outcome. He said, didn't need to see it. He chose it. That is what men of destiny do. They commit so deeply that reality itself must align. Stop asking if you're on the right path just because it hurts. The right path always hurts at first. It cuts away weakness, reveals doubt, drags every excuse into the light, and dares you to keep going anyway. Henry Ford was not celebrated when he decided to build a car for the common man. He was mocked. Even his engineers said it was impossible. But Ford didn't seek approval. He already saw the assembly line. He already felt the product in the hands of the people. When told it couldn't be done, he said simply, build it anyway. That is power. That is clarity. That is the standard you must hold yourself to. This moment, the pressure, the doubt is the gate to everything you said you wanted. Most men never pass through. They turn back, telling themselves, I'll try again when it's easier. They lie with phrases like, it's not the right time, or maybe this isn't meant for me. No, it is meant for you, but only if you finish what you started. Dreams belong not to planners, but to builders, to those who suffer for them, who create when it's boring, who walk through storms when the wind screams to turn back. Charles M. Schwab, one of the greatest industrial executives, once told me, Mr. Hill, the men who run when things get hard don't realize they were 10 feet from the gold. And it's true. Time and again, men quit one decision away from this breakthrough, not for lack of ability, but for lack of endurance. So endure. Endure the silence. Endure the pressure. Endure the unseen hours. Those who continue when it's hard are the only ones who deserve the reward when it arrives. Repeat after me and mean it. I do not pause when it gets hard. I lean in. I do not seek escape. I seek mastery. Pain is not a reason to quit. It is proof that I am being rebuilt. Let these words anchor you when the path grows cold. Let them become your rhythm, a rhythm fear cannot disrupt. Because the man who keeps walking, even when the light disappears, even when the applause dies, even when no one believes, he does not just survive the storm, he becomes the storm. Here is a truth few ever hear. Your greatest strength is revealed when you have none left. Not when you're motivated, not when you're winning, but when you are tired, alone, questioning everything. Most men fold here. The man of destiny rises. Pressure doesn't just break men, it purifies them. Abraham Lincoln entered the White House with the nation splintering. States seceded. War was inevitable. Advisors wavered. Public confidence was low. Yet Lincoln didn't look for easier answers or defer responsibility. He sat with the pressure. He carried the burden. And through relentless endurance, he gave America its spine. He became a giant not because it was easy, but because he kept showing up when most men would have collapsed. That is the man you must become now. You're not in this for convenient victory. You're here to evolve, to shed everything soft and fearful, and emerge as a man who leads his mind, commands his emotions, and moves with unwavering direction. Let me say this again. The going gets hard not to stop you, but to stretch you. You want courage. It is built when your hands shake and you move anyway. You want discipline? It is forged when your body says rest and your mind says one more. You want belief? It grows by continuing through days when your thoughts betray you. Andrew Carnegie, the man who shaped my understanding of wealth and will, once told, no man becomes powerful until he no longer requires things to be easy. He truly meant it. He didn't seek the path of least resistance. He chose the path that demanded his entire being because only there would his greatness rise. He said, the mountain does not grow smaller, you grow stronger. And you, my friend, are growing stronger now, even if you don't feel it yet. So let's make this practical. When the going gets hard, and it will, here's what you do. You do not retreat. You take one small action, even if imperfect, even if invisible to the world. Action, not motivation, is your lifeline. Return to your aim. Revisit your definite purpose. Read it aloud. Reconnect to your mission. Fear multiplies in men who forget why they started. Eliminate the noise. Don't explain your fatigue. Don't seek comfort from people who've never built anything. Sit in silence. Remember who you are. Rehearse your power. Repeat it. I was made for this. Say it with certainty, not because you feel strong, but because you decide to be. Then continue. You continue when no one's watching. You continue when the applause stops. You continue when fear whispers, maybe this isn't worth it. Your consistency in pain, in pressure, in silence is evidence that you are becoming a man the world cannot break. Say it aloud with force. I am not done. I am not finished. I do not quit. I rise. The man who becomes unstoppable is not the one who starts fast. He's the one who refuses to stop no matter how slow the path becomes. And that man is you. There will come a quiet, invisible moment when the pain is louder than the progress, when the goal you once shouted now feels like a whisper beneath the weight of struggle. That moment is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are nearing the threshold where most turn back and the few press forward. Pain is not the enemy. Comfort is. Comfort whispers, settle, ease up, coast. Comfort kills greatness softly, like a warm bed on a cold morning. It convinces you to stay forever. Charles M. Schwab, one of the greatest steel magnates, understood this clearly. Schwab worked under Carnegie not because he was the most skilled, but because he had the fire to endure what most men avoided. When quotas weren't met, when tensions rose, he didn't hide. He walked into the furnace and stayed until a solution appeared. Why? Because he didn't seek comfort. He sought growth. Growth and comfort are enemies. Pain is not punishment. It is preparation. It means you are no longer living on the level of the man you used to be. You are stepping into something higher, something heavier. Your mind, your will, your character, they are breaking and reforming under strain. That is not failure. That is formation. Here's what most men miss. When the pain increases, they slow down. They justify quitting. They say, maybe this isn't meant to be. The few who rise take pain as confirmation that growth has begun. Look at Thomas Edison. Not born brilliant, not naturally gifted, but with tolerance for discomfort beyond measure. 10,000 failed attempts at the light bulb. 10,000. Imagine the mental pressure, financial stress, public ridicule, internal doubt, and yet he moved forward. Asked why he didn't quit, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Pause, reflect. That is not a man running from pain. That is a man embracing it so fully, so relentlessly, that the pain becomes irrelevant, a necessary part of the process. If he could do that while the world doubted him, what excuse do you have? You are not too tired. You are too comfortable. You are not broken. You are being broken open. You are not stuck. You are being called to move with more force than ever before. So here is what I demand of you in the moments when the going gets hard. Do not soften. Do not retreat into logic. Do not disguise your fear as a brake. Lean in. Lean in so far that fear loses its footing. Lean in. Lean in so hard that comfort can no longer hold you, because the man who presses forward in pain becomes the man who cannot be stopped when strength returns. Say it with your chest. Pain does not weaken me. It sharpens me. Comfort is not my goal. Growth is. When it gets hard, I go harder. This is the turning point, not in your work, not in your environment, but in your identity. From this moment forward, pain will no longer be your reason to stop. It will be your reason to rise. Look at the man you admire, the one whose resolve never shakes, whose decisions are final, whose movements feel inevitable. You might think he was born unbreakable. You would be wrong. He became unbreakable through one thing, repetition. Not talent, not luck, not brilliance. Repetition. Here's what most men never understand. Your identity, that voice in your head telling you who you are, is not permanent. It is a pattern. And patterns can be rewritten, rebuilt, reinforced if you do it long enough. Speak it with enough conviction. Act on it with enough consistency. The old self falls away. The new self is born. This is not inspiration. This is engineering. Return to Henry Ford, a man with little formal education, no early advantages, and no immediate success. But Ford repeated one thing above all, belief. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. That was not a clever quote. That was the bedrock of his being. He did not repeat limitations. He repeated possibility. He did not rehearse failure. He rehearsed certainty. Over and over, day after day, he trained his mind to ignore doubt until doubt no longer recognized him. Ask yourself, what have you been rehearsing? Hesitation? Failure? Thoughts that belong to a weaker version of yourself? Because repetition is not just what you do, it is who you become. Every time you repeat weakness, you reinforce it. Every time you repeat doubt, you build a mind that sees through the lens of fear. But every time you repeat strength, even if it doesn't feel real, yet you install a new identity. One that does not flinch, one that does not fold. Thomas Edison knew this. His laboratories were not just places of invention, they were temples of repetition. He didn't succeed by inspiration. He succeeded by consistency. Each failure was not a step back. It was a step forward because it was embedded in a larger pattern. Keep going no matter what. That is the mindset of mastery. So now I tell you, if you want to be unbreakable when life applies pressure, don't wait for motivation. Build discipline. Don't wait for courage. Repeat courage. Say it aloud. Not once, not twice, every day. I do not hesitate. I do not fold. I act without delay. Write it, speak it, walk it. Repeat it until the identity you repeat becomes the only one you recognize. You must begin to schedule your identity, not your tasks, your identity. Each morning, speak who you are becoming. Each evening, confirm who you were that day, and in between, act like it's already done. This is how men become bulletproof. Not by luck, not by talk, by repetition. You do not become fearless by accident. You become fearless by choice, repeated until it becomes instinct. So I ask you, who are you? Rehearsing? The old you who doubts, pauses, drifts? Or the new you who speaks with clarity, acts with force, and refuses to go backward? Choose and then repeat it relentlessly. Say it now with certainty. Every day I repeat strength. Every day I install discipline. Every day I become a man who cannot be broken. This is not philosophy. This is your blueprint. Print it into your soul. The man who masters repetition masters himself, and the man who masters himself fears nothing. Now, let us speak of pressure. You say you want strength, power, the unshakable mind. But what do you do when pressure comes? Every man talks about greatness until the weight hits, until the trial shows up, until life presses its hand against your chest and asks, do you really mean it? Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the test. It is proof of who you are. When you build a sword, it passes through fire. When you build a man, he passes through resistance. That is how greatness is forged, not in peace, not in applause, but in silence. Not when life is easy, but when everything screams, quit, and you say, no. Thomas Edison understood this. He failed over 10,000 times before the light bulb gave birth to success. Did the voices of doubt not come from the world, from his own mind, saying enough is enough? Yes. But Edison didn't flinch. He had already decided. The pressure didn't scare him. It clarified him. It revealed the steel in his spirit. And that is what pressure does. It reveals you. Fold under it, and you reveal weakness. Rise through it, even when it hurts, even when you shake, even when your hands bleed, and pressure becomes your birthplace, not your grave. Abraham Lincoln, in the darkest night of America during the Civil War, was torn from every side. Half the country hated him. Allies doubted him. Brothers died. And yet Lincoln did not fold. He bore the pressure. He passed through it. His vision was stronger than destruction. That vision made him unshakable. You will face your own war. It may not be public, but it will come. The day will arrive when your strength is not theoretical, it must be proven. And that day will define you. If you run from pressure, you run from power. If you avoid stress, you avoid strength. If you seek ease, you sentence yourself to weakness. But if you embrace the pressure, Every burden becomes a tool, every trial a teacher, every storm a forge for your unbreakable spine. Let me give you a principle for life. Pain is not punishment. It is permission to rise. Every second you endure it, you become harder to stop. Say this aloud. Pressure does not weaken me. It reveals my strength. Resistance is not the end. It is the beginning. Every time life tries to break me, I grow sharper. You do not become a diamond in silence. You become a diamond under weight. The question is, will you endure long enough to emerge unshaken, unbroken, untouchable? Repeat this daily, and you will. The man who trains under pressure cannot be defeated. There is a truth most men avoid. You cannot reach the summit with one hand holding the safety rope. You cannot conquer your calling while keeping an exit open. If you want to win, remove the option to lose, not in the world, but in your mind. Burn the bridge. The man who leaves an escape route never commits fully. His energy is divided, his mind conflicted, and fear thrives in the presence of options. Burn the boat, shatter the lifeline, commit fully, because for him, the outcome is not a possibility, it is a demand. Andrew Carnegie taught me this. A man who seeks greatness must first destroy every excuse that allows him to remain small. And he lived it. When he rose from poverty to become the world's industrial leader, he left no back door open. He worked like his life depended on it because it did. Henry Ford did the same. Faced with collapse, humiliation, and fierce competition, he didn't pivot, he didn't question, he didn't ask, what if it fails? He said, it will work because I refuse to entertain anything else. That is what burning the bridge looks like. Not poetic, strategic, not emotional, essential. Because if there is a way back, your subconscious will find it. But when you decide there is no going back and reinforce it with repetition, decision, and action, your subconscious aligns with your mission. It says we have no other choice but to win. You will not become the man you are meant to be while clinging to old excuses. Ask yourself, what bridges must you burn? What version of you must die for a stronger one to rise? This is not recklessness, it is finality. Say it now. I do not entertain escape. I do not flirt with failure. I move forward and I do not look back. You don't need motivation, you need finality. Burn the bridge. Walk into your future with fire behind you. The man who leaves no way back finds a way forward, and he always does. Now let us destroy the myth of perfect timing. There is no right time, only now and not now. The man who waits dies with his best work trapped inside. Edison didn't wait. He began. He acted. He failed more times than most men ever attempt, but those were action failures, not hesitation failures. That is why he succeeded. Motion attracts momentum. Hesitation attracts more hesitation. Every pause wires your mind with fear, but action rewires it for dominance. Henry Ford said, you can't build a reputation on what you are going to do. He acted before anyone believed. He built before they clapped. He forced the world to adjust. Hesitation masquerades as wisdom. It disguises itself as caution, responsibility, intelligence, but it is fear in a tuxedo, and it robs men of their destiny. Kill it. Now, there is no tomorrow for your purpose. Someday is the deathbed of dreams. The man of mastery says, I move when it is hard. I act when I do not feel ready. I trust my decision more than my emotions. Abraham Lincoln did not wait for peace. He stepped into the storm because the mission mattered more than the moment. That is what you must do. Begin before you feel ready. Move even when your hands tremble. Trust your identity, not your feelings. Say it now. I do not wait to feel strong. I act, and strength follows. I am a man who moves. The time is now because I say it is. When you act before feeling ready, something miraculous happens. Your nervous system catches up. Confidence builds. Your mind begins to obey your identity instead of excuses. Action rewires the man. You don't act because you feel ready. You feel ready because you acted. Stop looking for the right time. It does not exist. The clock is your enemy. Fear hopes you'll delay. Move now. Build without permission. Most men fail not for lack of skill, not for lack of resources, but for lack of command over the one thing governing every moment, emotion. Emotions are like weather. They shift, change, and come with no warning. If your direction depends on how you feel, you will be a slave to moods, acting when happy, stalling when tired, folding when challenged. Feelings are not facts. They are suggestions, temporary guests. Andrew Carnegie said, "The man who learns to rule himself will soon rule many." Rule yourself. Do not let emotion dictate your destiny. Act despite how you feel. Overrule your impulses. That is what separates builders from dreamers. Edison had every reason to quit. 10,000 failures, ridicule, financial strain, doubt, but he acted anyway. In that decision, he trained his nervous system, his subconscious, and his soul to follow identity, not emotion. When asked how he endured relentless failure, Edison said, "I have not failed. I have found 10,000 ways that won't work." Do you understand the strength in those words? That is not cleverness, it is discipline, emotional command. Now, listen closely. There will be days when you don't want to continue, when your body aches, when your heart feels heavy, when the outcome is unclear and doubt screams in your mind. On those days, you act anyway. The man you are becoming is not defined by how you feel. He is revealed by how you respond when your emotions demand retreat. Emotional control is not pretending. It is not suppression. It is override. It is being the captain of your ship in a wild storm. Henry Ford knew this. Criticism, betrayal, doubt, they all came. Yet he acted with mechanical consistency, day in, day out. That consistency became his edge. Here's how you build it. Name the emotion, but do not obey it. Fear rises, say, "This is fear." Anger comes, say, "This is anger." Then add, "I do not obey. I act anyway." Naming separates you from the feeling. You are not your emotions. You are the observer, and the observer chooses. Anchor yourself to identity, not mood. Rehearse this truth daily. I am the man who moves, no matter what. Say it aloud. Say it often. Let your subconscious hear it until it becomes default. Because when identity drives action, actions rise above states. Create rituals that summon power. Carnegie meditated on his definite purpose. Schwab reviewed his mission before the day began. You must do the same. Cold showers, mirror declarations, silent walks. Repetition builds emotional stability. Expect resistance. Welcome it. The builder does not curse the hammer for being heavy. He trains with it. Fear, doubt, fatigue, they will come. Smile and say, "You came again. Good. Let's dance." Then move. Look at Abraham Lincoln, the weight of a divided nation. Civil war, public criticism, yet he endured. He led, he acted, he did not allow his private pain to paralyze his mission. That is emotional control, not numbness, but alignment. Say it now. I am not my feelings. I am my decisions. I do not obey emotion. I obey mission. I feel fear. I feel doubt. But I move anyway because I lead my state. These are not affirmations. They are commands. Every act of power, while feeling weak, builds a spine of steel. Fear becomes a whisper. Doubt becomes irrelevant. Hesitation cannot enter because your identity no longer allows it. Pain is not punishment. Resistance is not a roadblock. You bring peace with your movement. You embody it. When the going gets hard, you do not collapse. You rise. You act, and the world adjusts. This is the final stage, the planting of the flag of finality, the declaration of war on retreat. This is not the end of a speech. This is the birth of a new man, a man forged in repetition. Hear these words. Speak these truths. Return to them daily until the old version of you, the one who hesitated, folded, shrank, is gone. Transformation is not a spark. It is a rhythm, daily, deliberate, relentless. Andrew Carnegie did not rise from poverty in a single day. He returned to his purpose daily. He repeated his mission until doubt had no oxygen to survive. Henry Ford understood the same law. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Not poetry, precision, the science of belief through repetition. This speech is not entertainment. It is a mirror, a manual. Return to it daily. Walk with it, speak it, live it. Dig a trench in your subconscious. That trench becomes your path. The man who listens once is entertained. 10 times he is inspired. Daily he is transformed. This is the law of autosuggestion. This is the science of identity. Say it now. I will not forget who I am becoming. I do not let fear rewrite me. I repeat power until it is natural. I am not weak. I am not broken. I am untrained, and the training begins now. Every great man, Edison, Carnegie, Ford, Schwab, Lincoln, knew this secret. Repetition with emotion replaces limitation. Do not leave this message behind. Do not treat it as motivation. This is your discipline. Play it. Walk alone. Repeat its words. Override doubt. Shape your mind. Sculpt your will. Hammer these truths into your spirit daily. You will forget. You will drift. That is human. But return, recommit, repeat. One day, the man who feared will be gone. In his place, a man who moves like wind, walks through resistance, and no longer hopes for strength because strength has become his default. Repeat, not tomorrow, now. Repeat until doubt cannot find your name, until hesitation cannot enter your posture, until your voice carries identity, not effort, until actions require no motivation, until discipline becomes nature. When the going gets hard, you will not collapse. You will not cry. You will not retreat. You will stand not because you feel like it, but because you train for it. Say it with me one last time. I do not need to feel ready. I repeat, readiness. I do not search for strength. I speak it. I do not listen once. I live this daily. This is your final word, your beginning, your rhythm, your rebirth. And now, return to the start. Begin again. Repeat.